Then we have ordinance 022408, an ordinance to adopt the redevelopment plan for the current redevelopment plan area in the city of Brunswick. Before we go, Mr. Dominguez, oh, there you are. So, Mr. Dominguez, if you could give an overview of this particular ordinance, please.
Sure. Thank you, Council President. So this particular amendment to the ordinance addresses some modifications to the Farron redevelopment plan, otherwise you might know it as the HUB or the HELIX. They're mostly regarding modifications to accommodate the incoming proposal from Nokia Bell Labs for the second phase of the building, including some minor stuff like flagpoles, accessory structure and use setups, the sizing for other parcels, as there's going to be sort of a pedestrian walk facility through the middle that'll be privately owned, but sort of a paseo or walk, and so that'll create its own parcel, and addressing the nuances of that, as well as a museum and making sure that's a permitted use, as Nokia Bell Labs will have an open to the public, I believe, museum as a component of their establishment. And then looking forward toward phase 3, which would be a residential, well, mixed-use building, commercial, medical office, probably on the first 5 or 6 floors, with residential above. The H3 building is probably going to be somewhere, they're looking at mid to high 400 feet, probably about 460, 470 feet in height for that building, although not many units, about 210 or so, a very tall, skinny building. And so there's a component that increases the maximum height to 500 feet, but the Nokia Bell Labs building is probably going to come in the high 200s, around 270, 280 or so.
Thank you. Any questions from my fellow council members? Comments? Okay, now we are preparing to open the public hearing on this ordinance only. You have up to 5 minutes per person, one time out. Any members of the public wishes to address the council with this?
Good evening, Council. Charlie Prattville in Brunswick today. I wanted to ask about that third phase. What is the current status of it? Is there a timeline for when application might be submitted or when construction might start?
Mr. Dominguez, do you have an answer?
To date, no. I've heard optimistic rumblings of maybe a submission later this year, maybe early next year. This is just one piece of something we know that would be a component of H3, the height. I'm imagining most likely that there will be future amendments regarding specifics to H3 to the plan months from now, maybe later this year, early next year.
Thank you. Sure.
And how about the land itself? Has it been cleaned up? Does it still have an environmental problem?
Mr. Dominguez.
I don't actually know this reference to this environmental problem. If there's any cleanup on the site, they're doing it, but I'm not aware of anything, certainly not related to H3 or any of the other components in terms of environmental issue on the site.
Thank you.
Is it possible that engineering could comment? Yeah.
Mr. Valenti.
I can add something to that. There are two different issues that are going on with the location. One is an old hydrocarbon plume from tanks that were in the county building. That pretty much has been remediated. They've done chemical injection that have treated the subsurface groundwater. I believe that's within parameters, so that is just about coming to an end. I don't know about the dry cleaner solvent, but typically that's a much smaller issue.
Thank you, Mr. Valenti. Anything else, Mr. Carter?
Yeah, just on the pedestrian pathway. It sounds like a good thing. Is there any reason that it has to be privately owned? Can't the developer make that public land? Wouldn't that make the most sense if it's going to be a public space?
It's up to the developer.
Well, they're asking you for something here, so.
So it makes sense to the way it's presented. If any changes happen, but so far this is what we have. But thank you for the.
Okay. It does say in section 1F about creating new retail and recreational opportunities and new jobs. Can you give any insight into what we're talking about there, particularly with the recreation? Is that just the pathway? Or more stuff?
That's just sort of boilerplate. As the buildings have commercial components, there's the ability for recreational activities to be commercial components in these buildings as well as, you know, restaurants, cafes, et cetera. It's just sort of resolution boilerplate for the redevelopment plan.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I do think that, you know, many members of the public want this place to be a place where they can go and enjoy it without having to spend money, you know, so I think that at least some of the land should be set aside for, you know, something similar to a park. And I think that that's, you know, this hints at it, but doesn't guarantee us anything other than this privately owned walkway, which I'm already seeing, you know, the potential for issues with that. I would like to see something more concrete about what types of recreation this project will bring us if you're, you know, proceeding to approve this today. Hopefully we can get more information soon.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Seeing none? Move the ordinance. Second.
Councilmember Castañeda.
Abstain.
Duly noted. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.